Hello, this is Zaid Ahmed from ASL BPO on another edition of Property Preservation Training. So this is part of training videos that I'm making to train processors and get them familiar with objects and terms that they will encounter when working to provide better quality service. So today we're going to continue from the last video and talk further on the exterior part of the property. Things that I will explain today are A, type of doors and windows that the properties have, um, decks, B, decks, patio and fences, C, yard maintenance, and lastly D, uh, pools and hot tubs. So starting with doors and windows, on all the properties that you will see, each of them will always have a front door and then a side and a rear or back door. Measurements of these doors are usually 80 inch by 36 inch. The rear door can sometimes be sliding a sliding glass door, which is also known as a patio door. So this is what a patio door is. Um, Sliding doors will usually have a measurement of 80 inch by 72 inch. Front and side doors, or if there's a normal rear door, will usually have knob locks and deadbolts installed in them. So if you can see this picture, this is what a knob lock is, and this is what a deadbolt is. Together, if they're both installed on one door, it will be called a lock set. Um, On the other hand, patio doors will have a pair of slider locks installed on them. So let's see what a slider lock is. Slider lock. So this is what basically a slider lock will be like. They're installed on sliding glass doors as a pair on each side. Also, like screen doors are an extra addition to exterior doors. The screen door will have nets or screens installed in them. Basically, they can be screen doors or screen windows, and this is what a screen window or a door is. Uh, as you can see, they have nets. Uh, Many houses will also have a garage to park cars. Garage can either be attached or to the building or be a detached separate structure. So garage will have a garage overhead door, and the the usual measurements for garage overhead door is 10 feet by 7 feet in measurement. The overhead doors are usually locked by a set of padlocks. So basically, this is what a padlock is. And garages can also have it. The garage overhead door can also be a single car door, or if it's for a double car, it can be a double car door. So as you can see, a single car door will be something like this, while a double car door will be like this. As you can see, it's much broader. Or also, this is also a very good example, a single car door for a garage overhead and a double car door for a garage overhead. Garage can also have a normal door for people to enter from the side. These doors are called garage man door and are basically the same as all the other doors in the property. So this is basically what a garage man door is, and as you can see, it's just a normal door, but it's termed as garage man door, while uh, the one from where the car enters is termed as a garage overhead door. The most common window type of for windows that you will see are single hung and double hung windows. So both of which are the same thing, except that double hung windows have two movable parts instead of one. And as you can see, that this is the difference between a single hung and a double hung window. Double hung windows basically just have two movable panels, while the single hung window will just have one movable panel. And if we want to see a much more clear picture, this is what single hung or double hung windows are, like this. Another type of window that you may usually see are picture windows, which are very wide rectangular windows that do not open and are for the purpose of viewing the outside scenery. You can very easily see the difference between them and the single hung windows. So if you can just look in the video, that you will see that these are basically picture windows, and as you can see, they're very wide, and they can be very much easily distinguished from single hung or double hung windows. Similar to screen doors, windows can also have screens on them, which, if they are damaged, needs to be bid to repair or install separately from the windows themselves. A very rare kind of window that you might sometimes find are skylights. So skylights are roof windows that are present on some roofs. If such windows are present, we need to ensure that they are secured and are not leaking in any way to cause damage to the property. Uh, the mold and trim of doors are basically a casing installed on their perimeter. So if you can see where the mouse points, this is basically the mold and trim of any window or a door. For doors, they will basically this will be the mold and trim for a door, basically the frame. And if these things are damaged, as you can see in the picture, we have to provide bid to install or repair the trimming. Next comes decks, patio, and fences. Decks are an extended exterior structure made of wood that is present on the front or back of the property. They're usually made of wooden frame on which planks of wood sheathing are installed. All decks will have guardrails on their perimeter to prevent people from falling, as well as steps, since decks are a bit above the level of ground, and these steps will also have handrails installed on each side as safety measure. So if you see the picture, this is a very good example. This is what a deck is, and as you can see, it's made of wood. So this will, if you see where my mouse points at, this is will be the guardrail, and these will be the steps, while these are the handrails. Okay, so the guardrail and the handrail are basically the same, but same thing, but they're termed differently. And when providing bids, we also have to distinguish between them. Patios are a paved outside area adjoined to a house for people to sit and enjoy, usually on the back or front, and are similar to decks except that they are at ground level and will have a cementous flooring. Patios have an extended roof. If these roofs are made of fabric, plastic, or aluminium, they are called awning. So, if you see the picture, this is what a patio is, and as you can clearly see, they're very different from decks. Decks are a bit above the ground and are usually made of wood, while a patio is at ground level and will usually be made of tiles or cement, will be cementous. Awnings are, as you can see in the picture, this is what an awning is. It's like a extended part of the roof, which can be made of fabric or vinyl. Except for patios, windows can also sometimes have awnings installed on them, and as you can clearly see in this picture, all properties will also have fence installed on the side and back portion of the property. Sometimes these fences will also have gates as well, which are kept secured by installing padlocks on them. Fence and gates are mostly either made of wood, vinyl, or can be of metal chain link. So if you see how my mouse is pointing, they can either be of wood, they can also be of vinyl. Vinyl is again a plastic polyester, and they can also be made of chain link. And what a padlock is, again, this is what a padlock is. Yard maintenance. So the lawn that the property has all around the house is called the yard. The yard needs to be constantly maintained, as in an unmaintained yard, there will be grasses, weeds, saplings, trees, bushes, and shrubs growing in such a way that they can become an overgrowth, which can cause damage to the structure of the house and to the fence. And that is and all the maintenance that is done is what yard maintenance is. Terms that you will need to be familiar with in regards to yard maintenance are shrubs and bushes. So again, these are what shrubs and bushes are. They're basically small to medium-sized woody plants, which can be 3 to 12 feet tall. They only need to be trimmed when they are touching house and fences. Otherwise, they're fine. So if you don't understand what trimming of bushes is, this is what trimming means, basically cutting and shaping them. Um, Trees will also need to be trimmed if they are touching the house or the fence line, and needs to be removed if they fell down due to storm or any other reason. So if a tree is, like, touching the property or is touching the fence, they need to be trimmed, like as you can see in the picture. If they're standing in the middle of the yard, that is totally fine. It can grow as much as it wants, and that won't be a problem. But if it's growing against the house, touching the house or touching the fence, any trees or any shrubs, they will need to be trimmed. However, if a tree is fallen down on the property or on the ground, as you can see in this picture, they need to be removed, totally removed, and this is how that happens. Saplings are young trees which with thin trunks, and if they're growing against a house or fence, they will need to be removed totally. Well, so no trimming for saplings. These are actually pretty bad pictures. Like uh, saplings will be much more. They'll be something like this, except for that they will be 6 to 7 feet tall, or maybe 4 or 5 feet, and they will, if they're touching against the house, growing against the house, they will need to be totally removed. So no trimming there. Weeds are basically unwanted small plants which are usually removed along when grass is cut on the property. Sometimes though, weed removal can be done separately as a service as well. So weed maintenance or like weed removal can be done as a separate service. Say if the weeds are like very much overgrown, like something like this. Um, Also, they can be done separately from grass cuts if, let's say, all the yard is totally cement and there's really no lawn, and on the cement corners and edges, the weeds are growing. So in that cases, the service can be done separately. Lastly, pools and hot tubs. So many properties can have pools and hot tubs in their backyard for swimming, and in the case of hot tubs, for lavishly taking baths outside. Uh, that's something totally normal in North America or in the Western world. Uh, Pools can either be in ground or above ground. So you can clearly see the difference between in-ground and above-ground pool. Um, all pools need to be maintained in the following manner. They need to be treated with chemicals to remove green algae and mosquitoes, and then their water needs to be drained up to 4 feet depth, and then lastly they need to be covered with plastic tarp to be secured. So again, following, let's see some pictures. Um, Basically, this is what a pool with algae looks like. So they will need to be treated with chemicals so that all the algae dies and the water becomes blue again. Then the next thing that they need to be done is the pool needs to be drained. So usually these pools are 6 feet in depth, like the pools over here. They're all 6 feet in depth, and they need to be drained to 4 feet in depth. Okay, so there will be a pump, a generator, and the water will be pumped away until it becomes 3 or 4 feet in depth. Lastly, after treating and draining the pool, a pool will be secured by tarp. So basically, this is what tarping a pool is. It's a blue plastic cover to secure the pool so that nobody falls in. You have to remember that these properties are all vacant, and they need to be secured like this so that no children or no one kind of fall downs and dies. Hot tubs are different than pools. as they are kind of lavish bathtubs um, installed outside, used to enjoy bathing and for spa. They also need to be maintained in a similar fashion to pools. And as you can see, they're different from this picture and this picture are two good examples of what spa is. They almost look like above ground pools. However, the hot tub is, as the water as it suggests, that the water will be hot, and it's basically for people to enjoy bathing outside, kind of like romantic thing. Again, this is something totally normal in America. Um, well, that covers today's training video. And on the next video, we will discuss some of the interior aspects of the property. Hope this enlightens you a little bit more about all the terms that you need to be familiar with in this field of work.